Hi, I'm Carly with Dynamic Liquid Logistics. Maybe you've landed your first customer load, or maybe you've done several already. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to go over the do's and don'ts of them so I don't end up mad at you and Syngenta doesn't end up mad at both of us, so let's do this right together. These loads are what I would call white glove service. Syngenta has been voted the best in the industry, and we would like to keep it that way. The customer is expecting you, the driver, to come in knowing what they are doing, and Syngenta is expecting you to abide by their protocols during the unloading process. Both Syngenta and the Dynamic team trust that you will do a good job so we can get you on more of these. If you can't follow Syngenta's protocol, we cannot have you run these loads. I'll be giving you 2 passwords throughout this video that you will need to report back to the Dynamic representative who sent this to you to confirm that you have watched the entire video. Now we will go over the PPE and equipment needed. You'll need a hard hat, safety glasses, goggles or face shield and closed-toe shoes, long pants, long sleeve shirt or jacket, and chemical-resistant gloves. While a lot of these products are non-haz, they are highly concentrated, and I promise you don't want them touching any part of your body. Protect yourself. Please look professional, as you are not only representing your carrier, but also Dynamic and Syngenta. You'll need a minimum of 60 feet of hose. I would recommend 80. If the customer requires more than 20 feet of hose from the trailer to the tank, it will always be noted on the load confirmation. You'll also need 3 to 2 inch hose fittings, a 2 double female fitting, and a 2 double male fitting. Hose plugs and caps for each section of hose. Bags are not acceptable. Also required are spill pads and a 5-gallon bucket. If you don't have room in the truck, you can strap one to the catwalk. A drumming nozzle is also highly recommended. You will also need a valid CDL. Only the original paper copy will be accepted if you just renewed and haven't gotten the new hard copy yet. And a TWICY card or hazmat endorsement on your license will be needed at the St. Gabriel, LA, and Harvey, LA terminals. Getting washed prior to picking up your load. You will always need a Syngenta approved wash before a load unless you are top loading. If you are top loading, it will be noted on the load confirmation. If the wash is not on the Syngenta approved wash list, they are not approved. I don't care what the wash tells you. They may have been approved at one point and aren't anymore. I would suggest calling a Syngenta approved wash to make sure they will wash out your current product before driving hours to get there and be told no. Phone first. FYI, if you ask the wash to clean and prep your 5-gallon bucket, they will. Before you leave the wash, it is your job to make sure the trailer is all sealed up and the wash ticket is Syngenta stamped. If you show up to the terminal without either of these, you will be rejected and have to go back to the wash. If you aren't sealed, you will need a wash and prep all over again. Getting loaded at a terminal. When you arrive at the terminal, you will need the SID and the BOL line for the load. It will be located on the load confirmation. They will weigh you heavy after loading. We will need this scale ticket as soon as you get empty, so put it somewhere safe. They will also give you a bulk kit with the BOL. It includes seals and labels. Please make sure that you have both seals and labels in your bulk kit before you leave. You will need the seals to seal back up before you leave the customer. Without those, you will not be able to top load. Labels are also important to have, as it is an EPA requirement that it is applied to the tank you unload into at the customer. Delivering at the receiver. Let the customer know you have arrived with the product and you need to scale. You must always, always, always scale at the customer heavy and light. I don't care what the customer tells you. Syngenta requires it. The loading scale ticket is not enough. Scales are never calibrated exactly the same, and you have burned off fuel getting there. We have to have a heavy and light at the customer or at a nearby certified scale. It has to be a full-size certified scale that prints out a ticket. Handwritten tickets are not acceptable. Here are some scenarios. The customer says you don't have to scale. Wrong. Find the nearest certified scale. The customer's scale is broken. Find the closest certified scale. The customer's scale is covered in ice and snow. Find the closest certified scale. The customer's scale is not full size and they want to just weigh the trailer. Nope. You are not allowed to ever disconnect your truck from your trailer at the customer. Find the closest certified scale. If the customer has confirmed to us that they don't have a scale, the nearest scale will be notated 3 times on the load confirmation. The easiest way for me to put this is always, always, always scale heavy and light on the customer scale or the closest off-site certified scale. Period. The end. We will pay you out of route miles and lay you over if need be. Your dynamic dispatcher needs all scale tickets. Heavy are our shipper, heavy are our customer, light are our customer, and BOL before you leave the customer site. First password, pumps. Once you have scaled heavy and before unloading, please respectfully relay to the customer not to touch your hoses or equipment unless it's absolutely necessary. Let them know that you will handle connecting and disconnecting and turning all valves on your equipment on and off. The customer, however, is responsible for handling anything related to their tank, for example, turning the valve on and off on their tank. That is their responsibility. You should not be touching their equipment at all. If for some reason the customer needs to touch your equipment or assist in the offload, please call me or someone on the dynamic team to let us know how they need to assist and why. For instance, if the connection for your hose is 20 feet up in the air, then clearly the customer will need to connect your hose. These customers don't know Syngenta protocols. It's up to you to uphold them. Slow down and ask questions. Don't let the customer rush you. When we rush, we make mistakes. We would rather have a customer complain, "The offload took 3 hours, but it was flawless," versus, "The driver rushed through it and caused a spill of 20 gallons. Until all product is offloaded into the customer tank and you are completely disconnected, the product is your company's liability." Airing off product is never permitted. Never for any reason disconnect the truck from the trailer even if the customer asks you to. Unloading into totes is never permitted without Syngenta approval first. Doesn't matter if the customer tells you they do it all the time or it's okay. We have to get approval first. If a customer wants you to unload into totes, you need to call us at Dynamic immediately. The customer is allowed to unload from their tank into totes to make room for the product, but you are absolutely not allowed to be unloading into their tank at the same time they are filling totes out of that tank. If this happens, turn your pump off and explain to the customer that you will need to wait until they are done filling the totes to continue with the unload. Make sure the location has a concrete spill pad with containment for you to park on while unloading. That's an EPA requirement. If they don't have one, call the dynamic team immediately. Position spill pads and bucket under connections where leaks and spills are most likely to occur. Check the area for any hazards. Make sure you can see the tank you are unloading into directly. If you cannot, please call the dynamic team immediately. We will then confirm with the customer that one of their reps will watch the tank while you unload. Verify the product being delivered matches the label on the customer's tank it is going into, as well as there is room for all the product. You are not allowed to split the product into more than one tank. It has to go in one tank. Always stay with your truck when loading and unloading. If the customer asks you to leave your truck, stop pumping and close internal valve. Always wear splash goggles or face shield and chemical-resistant gloves. While unloading, report all spills immediately to the Syngenta incident report line located on the BOL. Even if it is just a cup, cover your ass. Even if it is the customer's fault, cover your ass. Even if the customer says they will report it, cover your ass. Even if the customer says it's not a big deal, cover your ass. It is the driver's responsibility to report spills, not the customer's. You are not the bad guy if a spill happens. You will be the bad guy if there is any kind of spill and you don't report it. You will always get a live person when calling the incident report line. If you do not, then you selected the wrong option. The dynamic team will also be happy to do a 3-way call and report it with you if you are having a hard time. Report the incident to your dynamic dispatcher with the report number immediately so that we can notify Syngenta. If you fail to report a spill, you will no longer be allowed to take customer loads. The top 3 reasons for spills, leaks in order of how often they happen are: number 1, hose connection, leak. Inspect your hoses, fittings, and gaskets frequently to prevent this. Number 2, tank overfill. That's why it's important for you or the customer to watch the tank the whole time. 3, valves left opened or closed. Double check all valves are closed or opened as need be to prevent. Do not exchange hoses. You must only use the hoses that were Syngenta prepped or, if top loading, dirty with that product. Never pull back product into your trailer. Do not unload into the top manway of any tank. You must have a hard piped connection. Do not use air pressure to assist in unloading, ever. You will, however, always need to air out the line when you are done. Do not walk the line. Take caution when blowing out the line, especially if the customer tank is full. Easy does it. Be sure to clean up after yourself, any drips, rags, wipes. When you are done unloading, visually check for heel and seal the trailer back up with the seals that were attached to the BOL. This is the driver's responsibility. Notate the seal numbers on the return seal portion of the BOL. If you fail to do this, it's a problem. You won't be able to top load, and any heel left behind is now garbage, and Syngenta will not cover the cost to dispose. Seal back up. The best way for me to put this is, you should always be sealed unless you are at a customer or a tank wash unseals you. Weigh light and collect your scale ticket. Customer needs to sign the scale tickets from their facility or the off-site facility. This is very important as it is an EPA requirement. The driver needs to ensure that the label, given in a small bag with the bulk kit, is filled out with gallons delivered, date, and then attached to the tank you unloaded into. Either the driver can apply it or the customer. If the customer says that there is already a label on the tank, let him know that an updated one with today's date and gallons delivered still needs to be applied. You need to actually see the customer apply the label. If you do not, the dynamic team needs to know about it immediately. At the bottom of the BOL, you need to circle two things. Did the driver apply the label? Yes or no. Did the customer apply the label? Yes or no. You need to circle yes or no for each of these questions. You also need to fill in the gallons delivered on the line that says quantity delivered, and the driver and customer both need to sign in designated areas under that. I will send you a separate short video with a visual so you can see what that looks like. If you fill this out incorrectly, we will ask you to correct it and send it back. Upload all of your scale tickets. You should have 3, and the BOL to the driver portal immediately before leaving the customer facility. If scale tickets reflect over 20 gallons of heel left in the trailer, notify Dynamic immediately and wait for further instructions. Do not leave the customer facility until instructed to do so. This only applies to 20 gallons or more. Detention will be applied as necessary for waiting. Second password, hoses for hazmat loads. Do not remove placards until the trailer is washed. If you are ever in doubt, uncertain, questioning anything on a customer load, please call the Dynamic team immediately. Please keep in the back of your mind that these customers do not know what Syngenta protocol is. They will oftentimes tell you to do things that Syngenta forbids. We are your partner in this and would rather get 10 phone calls from you than a big mistake. The better we all do on these, the more Syngenta knows they can trust our drivers, which means more loads. It's a win-win for everybody. Please save this video so if you need to reference it again, you can. From Syngenta and the Dynamic team, thank you. We appreciate all your efforts out there in the field delivering this precious freight. Report the passwords back to your Dynamic contact so we know you understand the assignment and are ready to roll. We love you guys, and please be safe out there.